The house clearly isn't locked, yet the monsters disguised as humans still can't get inside. The woman is terrified, clutching a talisman stone meant to ward off evil spirits, praying she can survive until morning. Because every time night falls, countless creatures appear in this eerie little town. They take the form of the dead and feed specifically on human organs. Only at sunrise do they retreat back into the forest. To protect the residents, the sheriff rings a bell before sunset every day, reminding everyone to return home and lock their doors. Even 6-year-old children obey without question, because each house is protected by a talisman stone. As long as the homeowner doesn't open the door and invite them in, the monsters cannot enter to kill. Once the streets are empty, the sheriff finally heads back to the station, where a sign on the wall shows they've survived 96 days. On paper, the survival rules are simple. Don't do anything stupid, and no matter how vicious the monsters are, they can't harm you. But someone always ignores the rules, and the 96 days of peace are about to end. A man gets drunk out of his mind. As night falls, the bar owner reluctantly locks up and lets him sleep it off inside. That single decision costs 2 lives. The drunk man's wife and daughter are still waiting for him at home. When it gets dark, and he still hasn't returned, the wife locks the doors, planning to search for him in the morning. But as the daughter is about to go to bed, she hears her deceased grandmother's voice outside the window. Curious, she pulls back the curtain and sees her grandmother standing there. The next morning, once the drunk sobers up and returns home, he finds neighbors gathered outside. Before he can ask what's going on, the sheriff walks up and slaps him hard. The sheriff is furious. He's warned them more than once that families with children must nail their windows shut. Children don't understand danger and are the easiest targets for evil manipulation. But the man never took it seriously and even stayed out drinking all night. Seeing his wife and daughter brutally disemboweled, their deaths horrifying beyond words, the man finally breaks down in tears. But tears come too late, and the sheriff isn't just angry because the man caused his family's deaths. He's also endangered everyone else, because whenever someone in this town dies, new people receive an invitation and are drawn here. And once they enter, they can never leave. That alone isn't the worst part. The real problem is that the story of monsters sounds insane. Newcomers rarely believe it and often refuse to follow the rules. They don't always obey the no opening doors after dark rule, which can lead to disaster and put others at risk. Sure enough, the very next day, a family traveling in an RV encounters a fallen tree blocking the road. That tree, along with the crows circling above it, is the town's invitation and the gateway in. The man immediately turns around, only to find himself driving straight into the town. As soon as they arrive, the boy in the RV is the first to sense something strange.
Why are all the tires flat?
Seeing newcomers arrive so quickly, the townspeople grow uneasy. The sheriff signals everyone not to speak to them. He approaches the family himself, asks a few questions, and points out the road leading out of town. At this point, the man hasn't noticed anything unusual. But when he drives out from west to east and somehow ends up back at the western entrance, he's confused. Refusing to believe it, he keeps driving the same straight road over and over. Yet each time he somehow circles back to town, watching them loop endlessly. The sheriff isn't surprised. He didn't explain earlier because he wanted them to discover it themselves and wear down their resistance. Only then can they begin to accept the coming horrors and the fact they'll never leave. Once he figures they've had enough, the sheriff prepares to set up a roadblock. That explains why every car tire in town is flat. Each vehicle was once forced to stop this way, but this time is different. Frustrated that he can't escape, the man angrily turns back at high speed, just as another car approaches head-on. The sudden collision sends both vehicles flipping into the woods. A family of 4 is trapped inside. The man is lucky. The tree trunk that pierces the vehicle misses him, only pinning him in the driver's seat. His wife in the passenger seat is unconscious, clearly suffering a severe blow. Meanwhile, the sheriff waits on the road but doesn't see them return. Thankfully, someone from the second car manages to crawl out and reports the crash. The sheriff's face goes pale. Since the town's existence, 2 new vehicles have never arrived at the same time. With night approaching, he orders his deputy Ben to escort people back to town and gather help, while he heads to the scene first. When he arrives, he finds another passenger from the sedan, but the guy is clearly high and barely coherent. The sheriff cuffs him for now and checks the RV. After one look, his heart sinks, but fortunately, no one is dead. Soon, 3 people are pulled from the wreckage. Only the youngest son remains trapped inside, and Ben arrives with reinforcements. But there are only 40 minutes until sunset, and treating the boy will take at least an hour. With no choice, the sheriff decides that he and the town medic will stay overnight, while the others take the 4 injured back. The boy's father refuses to leave his son and insists on staying too. No one in this town has ever survived a night outdoors. Even the sheriff feels uneasy. As darkness closes in, he can only rely on the talisman stone he brought, hoping that inside the sealed RV it will work like it does in a house. He hangs the stone inside the vehicle. The father looks confused, but the sheriff doesn't bother explaining. He wouldn't believe it anyway. After sealing every possible gap in the RV, the sheriff warns him, no matter what they hear or see at night, don't touch the stone and don't open the door. At the same time, low growls echo from the darkness. When the sheriff looks outside, he sees the monsters approaching, wearing human faces. As more and more gather around, even the sheriff feels a chill run down his spine. All he can do now is hope the RV's enclosed space and the talisman will hold. With that, Season 1 of From Season to an End.